Welcome back to the Talking Sports Podcast, hosted by Peter DiBiasi and John Rocco Trumpbour, right here on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. Guys, it is the 50th episode of the Talking Sports Podcast. We started this podcast a little over 2 years ago in quarantine. Our 2-year anniversary was in March, so it's a little over 2 years ago, and this is our 50th episode. We're also almost at 100,000 views on the YouTube channel, so we appreciate, I know JR appreciates everyone that has followed us on Instagram, followed us on Twitter, Apple Podcasts, and mainly YouTube. So once again, thank you to everyone. And obviously the reason you clicked on this video is we will be breaking down or recapping kind of the NBA draft that happened last Thursday. But before we do that, Jared, where can everyone find us on social media?
Yeah, guys, please, social media, Instagram, Twitter, at Talking Sports PD. We really hope we're posting content that you guys enjoy. And yeah, thanks again for 50th. Well, this is the 50th episode. Thanks for letting us, get this far. If it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be here. So thank you for listening. So yeah, Talking Sports PD, Instagram and Twitter. And don't forget to listen to us on Apple Podcasts as well as YouTube. And please subscribe.
Yeah, guys, 50th episode of the podcast, which is kind of crazy. I still remember the first episode. We talked about Tom Brady going to the Buccaneers. And that just happened. So it's been that long. Tom Brady was barely a Buccaneer when this podcast started. So I appreciate it. Like Jared said, if it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't have a platform. So we appreciate it. And we're gonna hopefully maybe we'll get to 100 episodes and have another 2.5 years. So that'd be something. But yeah, we'll keep putting up content, especially like this video. So let's get to the chase here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed our NBA mock draft video. Got over 4,000 views. So that's awesome. So thank you for that. Keep it up because that's crazy. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the draft. So we're gonna keep it nice and simple. We really don't have like a structure for this episode. We're just gonna be 20, maybe 25 minutes, maybe even less, talking about the draft. Some things we liked, some things we didn't like. And like obviously Paolo Banchero going number 1 to the Magic. We had Jaden Ivey 5 to the Pistons. The Kings passed on Ty Washington and fell out of the top 25. Almost fell out of the first round, which was obviously Jared and I were watching together. That was nuts. So Jared, first things first. I know what one thing that like maybe stood out to you on the draft that like could have shocked you or just stood out to you after watching the draft.
So, I think the first things first, if anyone's watching the draft, the Paolo Banchero, the rumor, he actually might go number 1 came like 30 minutes before the draft. Then, you're thinking, maybe it's the smoke, but I feel like there would be no point of that. And then they do select him. I think like a big thing with that is I saw like reports that he didn't even work out for them. So that showed they liked him enough and a lot to pick him number 1, and he didn't even do a workout with them. Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting because I think everyone thought it was going to be Jabari and either Chet going 1 and 2, and then Paolo at 3. But yeah, Paolo jumps Chet and Jabari and goes number 1. So I thought that was very surprising. I think it's because they really wanted, because like you said, Paolo's going to be like a over 20 points a game scorer in his career. Maybe get to the 28 points
like right away too.
Yeah, I feel like he has a low floor, but I don't think he has a higher ceiling than Chet and Jabari. So I don't know. I think the Magic just wanted to be sure that they got someone who was going to be, a star in the future for them. So I think that's why they went there.
Also can contribute right away. And
exactly.
Like I said, I think there's less bust potential out of the 3, but I wouldn't be surprised. I think we both agree that Chet and Jabari probably are going to be better. NBA draft stuff happens, so we'll come back to this and be totally wrong. So then it shocked me. One, how bad the draft coverage was.
Oh God, we were
there. We were watching that draft coverage. If you were watching the draft, you know exactly what we're talking. One, it's Woj and Shams like every year when they're tweeting before the draft or before the pick, like Grizzlies, whoever they're picking, at 19. Grizzlies up on my screen. They're picking at 19, and then after the 18th pick, Woj tweets the Grizzlies are targeting this guy, or this guy's on top of their board at 19. You're like, well, thanks.
Okay,
yeah, that's the point. Or just ESPN, one, just not talking about trades and just like kind of going over and showing like weird highlight tapes and weird.
And then they announced the trades like 20 minutes later.
Well, I get it. Like we like the interviews with like the top picks. It's cool, but at the end of the day, like we want to know what's going on in the draft. We can hear these guys talk another day. Obviously, it's a great day for them, but that's not the point of the draft. So you also had that, the Jalen Duren, whatever that was.
Yeah.
feel like Jalen Duren was on 6 freaking different teams, guys. It was nuts. Obviously, he ended up on the Pistons. So that's gonna leave him my shock. I think the Pistons had a great draft. I
Yeah.
think getting Ivy at 5, where I think Jared and I both agree he was a top 5 consensus player.
I
But
think he was the 4th best player. I think we could agree on that.
so we thought Kings at 4, go Jaden Ivey. But there was a lot of rumors that Jaden Ivey wanted nothing to do with the Kings and like didn't want to work out. Obviously, that doesn't. They still could draft him. They can do whatever the hell they want. It's their pick.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't seem like they were too fond on Jaden Ivey just because of that. They went the safer route with Keegan Murray. But getting Jaden Ivey at 5, you compare him with Cade Cunningham. Now you got a really good young backcourt duo, which is kind of I'm excited to see how they pan out in like their rookie year. And then you have Jalen Duren at 13, which could be their center of the future. I know they have Isaiah Stewart, but they have a kind of a rim protector that doesn't need the ball in his hands to be like super productive. So I think he fits what Cade Cunningham wants to do, and like doesn't take away opportunities from Cunningham, won't take away opportunities from Ivy. This team all of a sudden doesn't have a horrible young core. Like you have Cunningham, you have Ivy, you have Duren, but you also have obviously Marvin Bagley's only 23. There's still potential there. Killian Hayes is still super young. There's potential there. Sadiq Bey is a very good young player. I don't see like star potential, but he's very good. And then you have Isaiah Stewart, who's another big man that's young. And then they obviously got rid of Jeremy Grant and they got a 2025 pick. So like I don't expect the Pistons to be like a playoff team. They could fight for that 10th seed in the play-in, like they could. But the Pistons are totally going the right direction. So that stood out to me. Joe, what are your thoughts on the Kings passing on Ivy? So that might be one of them after Boncaro. That might be one of the most notable things of the draft as a whole.
The Kings see something that no one ever sees in these players,
but it's never good.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. That's not like they see something great. They see something that no one sees. My thing is, so is John Collins a free agent?
No.
So they would have to trade for him because I know they're in talks with trade.
I think they would have to trade.
My thing is, if you know you're not going to get Ivy there, Keegan Murray might fall with a couple more picks. Like, I'm not saying maybe like draft Jaden Ivey and put him in a trade because I know they want John Collins. I think Jaden Ivey has much more value than Keegan Murray in trade discussions, or just trade the pick on draft night. Because I know I've seen them linked to John Collins.
He's not a free agent until 2026.
Okay, so they're good. Yeah, because I think the Hawks just locked him up.
5-year, like 125. That was the contract.
Yeah. So I mean, I know John Collins and the Hawks are doing well. They're not on the same page.
No.
I know the Kings are really like pushing for John Collins. So my thing is, why draft Keegan Murray when he has less trade value than Jaden Ivey? And I feel like you could have just traded that pick rather than
What I would have done if I was the Kings and I didn't want Ivy, or Ivy refused to it could have been just a messy thing. And
trade back.
I would have traded back to even 10 at the latest and get future assets, because you're not like you need future assets or a player that can help you win now if you really wanted, or just another pick. Like the Knicks were probably like, obviously the Knicks direction was totally different.
Yeah,
everyone predicted, and we can get that in a second because the Knicks were a disaster. But trade back, maybe get like a Shaedon Sharpe, like a Dyson Daniels, Johnny Davis, AJ Griffin.
There were plenty of good players.
Somebody in that realm, because I think they're all in the same realm.
Or maybe rack up another future first round pick next year.
Because I think all those players are in the same realm as Keegan Murray. Like they're all
I agree.
They're after, because I think it's like Ivy. I think Sharpe and Betting and Mathurin might be a little higher potential wise, but Keegan Murray is the safe pick.
No, I do think
there's a logic behind the pick.
Yeah, with a roster like Fox, Sabonis, Harrison Barnes, Keegan Murray, Davion Mitchell, that's not a bad roster.
No, but
they can win some games.
They're the Kings.
But can they, make that playing game? I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, look, I think Keegan Murray at 4 is like the safe option. And I think he fits on the roster. I think it's a fine fit. Do we see superstar potential? Look, we could be totally wrong. We were both wrong on Scotty Barnes and Franz Wagner. After year one, it's only year one. Stuff changes.
But at least we see the talent there. We know Keegan Murray is going to be a good player. I mean, not know, but we think Keegan Murray is going to be I think he'll be a good role player, maybe a good role player starter. He's never going to be I'm saying it now, but he's never gonna be a superstar.
Yeah, so I think Ivy probably was the pick there,
Yeah.
or trade back. I think that was pretty simple because he
Mhm.
maybe could have got Keegan Murray at 7 or 8.
I agree.
There's,
Yeah,
there's a ton of chance that people wanted Sharp or Matherin or Dyson Daniels or Johnny Davis over him. So
I agree. I totally agree.
yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Knicks. I think the Knicks had one of the teams that didn't make a pick until the second round, which was Trevor Keels. And we're going to talk about a team that had no first round picks as a loser because they had the 11th pick and then they decided to ship it off and they shipped it to Detroit because they got it from Charlotte with the Jalen Duren trade. So they had Jalen Duren for like half a minute.
No, they always had the 11th pick.
No, but they shipped it.
Yeah, they shipped that off. Correct. To
shipped
the Thunder.
The Thunder. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I missed a step. They shipped it off to the Thunder, who
Yeah.
the Thunder took Ousmane Dieng.
Yeah.
And then they shipped. Then they went back in the draft because they traded with the Hornets.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah. So
because they had Jalen Duren for like 5 minutes.
I
And they shipped Duren.
I don't think they ever had Jalen Duren.
I think they did because they shipped Duren.
I think it was a 3-team trade between the Hornets, Pistons, and Knicks. The Knicks gave the Pistons
Somehow the Knicks gave up their picks and Kemba to get cap space.
Yeah, that's all they did.
That's all that matters. And Duren ended up in Detroit. However, we got there in essence means nothing.
Yeah.
And the Knicks got some future picks, but are very highly protected.
Yeah, I don't think they're ever going to be lottery picks.
Bobby Marks was saying on some radio show, I think it was Mike Greenberg's like ESPN 98.7 ESPN. He was saying he only believes one of those picks would come tuition. Like one of those picks would actually be picked by the Knicks.
Really?
They're so highly protected.
Yeah,
that's what his logic is. So like those, it's highly protected
but
picks.
Won't they all be picked by the Knicks, like you explained? Like, isn't it all just keeps going back a year?
Yeah, I think it runs out eventually though.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
He said he explained it.
They are very like they're never gonna be lottery picks. I don't think.
No. Basically his point was that the picks are not as valuable as the picks seem on paper.
Yeah, it seems like you're getting 3 first-round picks by like.
You're not. You got to do a little more insight into that. So the Knicks ended up with Kemba Walker gone, which is cool, I guess. But that's just basically what they did was just rework what they did last offseason, correct their mistakes from last offseason.
Yeah,
Kemba Walker was their mistake from last offseason. So they got
to me, it feels like they gave the Pistons Jalen Duren just get rid of Kemba Walker.
Yeah,
that's bad.
Or you stay at 11 and take a.
And wait, and is that because they're going to put all their money on Jalen Brunson? I mean, I think that's terrible.
It's. I like Jalen Brunson. So
he's not the guy you're supposed to trade players away just to make.
It's not like when Jimmy Butler was a free agent.
No, he's not a superstar.
Kevin Durant.
That would make sense. Okay, we need 10 more million to sign Kevin Durant. Let's ship Kemba off, ship our first round pick off.
Yeah, I do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I'm trading a first round.
You're not doing it for Jalen.
I'm trying to win games. I'm trading a first round pick for Kevin Durant. I don't care.
Yeah.
But I would justify that if they were trying to get Donovan Mitchell. I get it. They're not going to win a championship with Donovan Mitchell and RJ Barrett.
Donovan Mitchell's a star.
But there's a trajectory. You see the direction. We're trying to win games. Like I would never fault a team for trying to win basketball games. I would never fault it. They might not be doing it in the right way, or they might not have the right process, or not set up for the next 6-7 years. But you can never fault a team for trying to go win games. Like they're putting you put Donovan Mitchell on that team, you have a competitive team that can make the playoffs in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, and maybe win some playoff games.
Yes, maybe win a playoff series if it's right. And then maybe they seem good, and then a year later, another free agent comes. They get rid of Randall, and then you got RJ Donovan, and somebody's like, "Oh shoot, this team knows what they're doing." This is not what they were doing. They're trying to create space for Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson, RJ Barrett, and Julius Randle can make the play-in. They're not going to be a win. They're not winning a playoff series in the Eastern Conference. They're not winning a playoff. They're not.
I think they might.
We could. Okay, I can list off some teams, and ready. We'll do this quickly. This will be fun. Ready? Teams that I think I'm list teams with Jalen Brunson added to this team. Are they better or worse than the team I'm listing? The Knicks. Ready? So I'm going to go Milwaukee Bucks.
No.
Boston Celtics.
No.
76ers.
No. 76ers, I could see losing a series, but I don't think
Miami.
I don't think they're better.
Miami Heat. Regular season to get into the playoffs. Like you got to get Miami Heat.
No.
Chicago Bulls. If Zach LaVine comes back, we'll say Zach LaVine comes back.
I'd say no.
Toronto Raptors.
Maybe.
Atlanta Hawks.
Maybe.
Cavs.
I didn't watch a lot of Cavs this year, but I know they're. I'd say depending on the Sexton situation, maybe.
Charlotte Hornets.
Maybe. So I think they have spots.
Wizards.
Well, yeah, they could beat the Wizards.
You listed what did you listed 6 teams that were I think Raptors are better. I like the Raptors. I think there's 6.
I mean, Raptors could be better, but I think the Knicks can beat them.
But you listed 6 teams that you listed 5 definite. Oh, Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn Nets.
No, yeah, they're not beating Brooklyn.
Fully healthy Brooklyn Nets with KD and Kyrie. So
that's Kyrie's,
if we're not counting the Raptors, that's 6 teams that are definite better. And then there's teams with the Raptors who made the playoffs this year. There's the Hornets who are getting better. And there's the Cavs who are not bad.
And Hawks. Hawks really good.
I mean, you never know what there's a lot of teams. So I don't really see a path with Jalen Brunson. So at the end of the day, the Knicks traded a pick for.
And I think that if that situation, they're kind of betting on themselves at that moment, and they don't really set up for the future. So
how much money are they giving Jalen Brunson?
Yeah.
They needed.
I can see like a 4-year. I can see like a 4-year, $80 million.
Happy for Jalen Brunson. This dude's getting paid.
Yeah, he's definitely getting paid.
Oh my god,
it's interesting.
Imagine he doesn't go to New York.
I can see him signing back with them.
He's not required to.
Yeah, I can see him signing back
off a trade. There might be like a virtual
well, the Knicks have what his uncle or something in the front office. His dad, something in there. I don't know. His agent. I mean, his agent is part of the Knicks organization now.
Or used to be part of the Knicks or something.
Tampering at the finest.
Yeah, but the Bulls lose a pick for tampering with Lonzo Ball. So yippity doo dah. So that's a loser. That's one of the losers of the draft. We both had a loser. JR, I had the Nuggets as a loser in the draft.
I agree. I was gonna.
What are your thoughts on the Nuggets?
I think that
Christian Braun.
I don't know about you, but that Peyton Watson pick,
not a good idea.
He averaged 3 points a game, 3 rebounds, 1 assist in 12 minutes per game. I mean, maybe he's raw. I haven't watched him play. I'll be honest, but
he played 12 minutes a game.
They could get a low floor player. This guy's a low floor. They could get a high floor player. They get a low floor player who could pan out the blend and not even play minutes
at 30.
Yeah, and then exactly at 30.
Please tell me where they saw enough to take Peyton Watson where he played 12 minutes a game. Where did you see enough in the film?
Yeah,
to take him. And we said our best available after the first round, right? Mm-hmm. So this is after Peyton Watson. We tweeted this out after Peyton Watson went because he was the last pick in the first round.
Yeah,
Kendall Brown would have took him over. EJ Liddell, Jaden Hardy, Jabari Walker, Max Christie. All those guys I would value way higher than Peyton.
I think Max Christie, fits on the team. He's a Jamal Murray. He's coming back, but they need another.
Yeah,
he's a shooter.
Jaden Hardy could be scoring off the bench potentially.
And Max Christie's raw in his own sense. He didn't even play that well. He averaged 9 points a game. And we're like, okay, he didn't perform well in college, but we could see that potential. Peyton Watson.
Or if they wanted to go very safe, EJ Liddell. He would have been a very safe option there. Or I like Kendall Brown. Jaden Hardy would have been very.
Kendall Brown would have good a defense.
Yeah, he would have fit well and had a little time. And then Christian Braun at 21.
Yeah, who picked him again?
That was the Nuggets.
Oh God.
21 and 30. They also picked your guy Ismail Kamagate at 46.
I thought so. The Pistons traded that pick or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like the Kamagate pick. He could come off the bench when Jokic is off, and he's just defense, right? So athletic and defense.
So they went Christian Brown at 21.
Plays.
Ready, guys that I probably would have taken over Christian Brown at 21. Forget the freaking position need. I would have took that one in the first round. Walker Kessler would have been better. I don't know much about David Rhodey, so I'm not going to go there.
Isn't I don't know.
Margin Banchamp. I always mess up.
Marjan Beauchamp.
I know you're higher on him than I was.
I like him.
Blake Wesley, I would have went. Wendell Moore would have been a better option. Nikola Jovic would have been a very cool pick. Patrick Baldwin. If Jamal Murray, they didn't believe in Jamal Murray coming back healthy, go take a flyer.
Or Michael Porter might not be healthy. Let's get his replacement. Same guy.
Get your point guard for the future off the bench.
Yeah, put Jamal Murray on shooting guard.
Run the point. Develops a little more shot, and then in the second round, Caleb Houston, I kind of liked better. Christian Coloco, I liked better. Max Christie, Jaden Hardy, Kennedy.
I think what they're trying to do is not replace, but get someone, to hit that 4 position, like Aaron Gordon,
Christian Braun, or Peyton Watson.
Peyton Watson.
Talking about the Christian Braun pick of 20.
Oh, okay. I didn't understand that.
That there was better guards on the board. Champ, Wesley, Wendell Moore, Jovic,
No,
Baldwin,
I agree with that. Totally.
Washington, Nemhard,
That came out of nowhere. You saw Christian Braun. You
Max Christie, Jaden Hardy, Kenny, Trevor Key. Like I'm just listing the rest of the draft
yeah.
that I would have higher than Christian Braun.
I had Christian. Is it? Yeah, Christian Brown. Like
I didn't have him as
second round pick.
I didn't have him as a top 10 shooting guard.
Yeah, I don't think he was, in my opinion. But he could be totally. He could be like Duncan Robinson. Who knows? But
yeah.
What do you think about? I think a team that we didn't even mention in our winners and losers. I don't think you mentioned them.
Okay.
The Spurs. I think they had a really good draft. They drafted Blake Wesley. I mean, first pick, 9th pick. I think Jeremy Sohan, who I wanted the Thunder to get him at that point. Malachi Branham and then Blake Wesley. I think that's a really good draft.
I think the Sohan safe pick. I like the Sohan pick. Like I think it's a very solid pick.
I can see him being like a Spurs type of player.
It's not flashy, which is good. The Blake Wesley pick, I know you're hiring him at 25 is very good. The Malachi Branham is probably my favorite out of the three.
I think they got 3 players who have potential to be starters in this league.
Yeah, I had like in my big board, I had Sohan as I'm looking at it. I had him as Jeremy Why I lost Jeremy Sohan in my little big board. Where the heck did he go? I had him as a mid first round pick, so I was a little less on him, but 9, I think that was fine. And then I had Malachi Branham as a mid first round pick, and then I had Blake Wesley as a late first round pick. So I think they got
3 first round picks.
Yeah, they got 3 first round picks. That
So, yeah.
So I think they kind of nailed the draft in that realm. Wow, I could not spit that word out. But yeah, I think the Spurs were very good. I think they were quietly good. I think they
were
were
a team that just kind of had to build like a core roster through this draft. I think they did a very
I like
good.
Branham because he's a
I like Branham.
4, and I think a guy that comes off the bench.
Him pairing with DeJounte Murray, they're good defensive players, and Branham just not having to be the primary scorer as much. I think that's a really good. He could be rookie of the year candidate.
Yeah, and then Jeremy Sohan, nice front court player with Keldon Johnson.
Yeah,
like that at Kentucky, who's a very late.
Let's say I've also Devin Vassell.
Yeah, this team is slowly going to be talented. It's tough West, obviously. They could fight for.
And they made the playing game.
They made a play, and then they got better, in my opinion. And we'll see how free agency obviously shapes it. I don't know. There probably won't be big players in free agency, and obviously DeJounte Murray. I don't know if he wants to be there long term. All that stuff that obviously has a huge factor in it. But strictly draft, I think the Spurs.
I agree.
Nailed it. I think your Thunder.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, Holmgren at 2 was very good. I think Jabari or Chet at 2 would have been fine.
Yeah,
my
opinion. I think Chet was their guy, even if they had
yes. Usman Dieng at 11.
He's a project.
I'm excited to see what he can do because
we could take in the project.
Would you say he's like a 6'8" point forward?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are also listening. Him as like a 6'8", 6'9" point guard, but I would say he's a point forward. Yeah,
a point forward. When you're 6'8" point guard, you're a point forward.
Yeah,
and then Jaylen Williams. I don't know a ton about Jaylen Williams. I know you're higher.
He's 6'6" to 7'2" wingspan.
So yeah, he's so you scream, but he's a little more polished.
Yeah, that's why with the Dieng pick, with the Jaylen Williams pick, I'm happy that I like Dieng now. I gotta ride with my guy.
Yeah, of course.
But I think we had the room. We had Chet Holmgren was gonna be a starter. Jaylen Williams was gonna be a role player right off the bat. And then we could take an Usman Dieng. If it was just Usman Dieng and Chet, it'd be like, okay, we see one potential starter, Dieng might be playing the G League. But because we got, Jaylen Williams, I think we could take in that Dieng. He'll probably play some G League games this year. But I'm like very excited about this core a lot.
Jaylen Williams he's a good offensive threat. And then the other Jaylen Williams you took in the second round is a good defensive player.
I'm liking him more. He's younger than Chet.
He's strictly a defensive player.
Yeah.
The second Jaylen Williams. So which is cool at pick 34. But reading the stat, the Thunder in their first 3 picks or 3 lottery picks added 21 feet and 8 inches of wingspan.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's a lot of wingspan.
And also like Jaylen Williams wasn't at 12. I would have never I'm gonna be honest. I would have never thought we were gonna pick Jaylen Williams.
Yeah, I was shocked. You were shocked too. I remember you.
Yeah, I remember picking him 30th of the Nuggets in our mock draft video. But I knew he was rising up draft boards. I didn't think he was going to go as high as 12, but I see what teams liked in him. I see what the Thunder liked in him. So I'm excited. He reminds me kind of like a Lou Dort in a way, like that type of player. So we're gonna have two of those. I think we're gonna be a really good defensive team. We got really good defensive players this draft, and so I'm excited. We were already good at defense when everyone was healthy, so I think just emphasize that defense. And then Dieng, if I trust anyone to establish and well, I don't forget the name, but develop a player. I trust my Thunder, so we'll see. He could end up being total bust, but I like the potential.
What are your thoughts on quickly, and then we'll wrap it up? The Bulls, Dalen Terry at 18.
Yeah, so I was never high on Jalen
That's
Hardy.
my team.
Yeah, I was never high on him, but after actually seeing him picked, I didn't know he was 6'7". I'll be honest. I didn't do my research. He's long. I think that's a good pick to pair up with Lonzo Ball.
I think he's a great 3-and-D off the bench.
Yeah, I think like Lonzo Ball goes out, you still have Dalen Terry to play defense for that team
with Caruso, which would be cool defensive backcourt off the bench.
Yeah.
I'm excited because I think the Bulls needed length. I wanted a wing or a center, but at that point, Mark Williams, Duran, and obviously Chet were long gone.
Yeah.
Or Mark Williams not as much. But I think I wanted a wing at that point, and I wanted a wing that could defend. Malachi Branham would have been cool, but I think why they passed up, he's too much offensively. And I don't think they need that. Another wing that like super, like really good scorer, like that lacks defense because you have Levine and you have DeRozan, and they take up most of the scoring. They wanted, and I think we need is a 3-and-D player who's super athletic. Like he's super bouncy. He's only 19.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a little growing pains, obviously, but he's gonna come in and play defense right away, which I'm excited about. And then he can develop somewhat into an offensive game, but he won't be asked to score right away, which could be good for his development. Like he's not a lot of pressure on him, but will develop slowly. So I think a 3-and-D and a wing, athletic wing off the bench was what we needed in Dalen Terry team.
My question to you,
void.
Let's say I think Kobe White's most likely on his way out.
I think, or I don't see a huge spot for him on this team.
So who do you see on your team scoring off the bench? Because I know Dalen Terry's not much of a scorer,
That's where the Kobe White thing is
could
very
still stick.
Interesting in the sense of scoring off the bench, because Caruso is not much of a scorer. Io was very solid as a rookie, second team all rookie.
But he's also defense.
He's more defensive.
He can score, obviously, but
I think that's where Kobe White could stick around. It depends what we do in free agency. Obviously, I want Levine to come back, and I think they need to add another scorer off the bench, more consistent or more of a 3-point shooter. So where Kobe White can stay on the team could be exactly that, because he obviously gives you scoring. I agree. I don't see it right now. Maybe ask me after free agency, and then I'll be annoyed if we didn't add or we didn't change everything or we have a different outlook. But at this point, I don't fully see it. But that's what you have free agency for. And I don't think we're going to get that at 18. And I think it was more important we got a wing defender. Because also a lot of times Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan are not both off the court.
Yeah,
that's long stints of maybe regular season. But
if they are, they'll be off for like 30.
Like obviously LaVine in that Bucks series, you could tell he was injured. And he didn't register a single dunk in the whole Bucks series in 5 games. Which is, I know he's more of a scorer now than a dunker, but he's so athletic and gets athletic. Yeah. So he was just not athletic. His knee was bothering him. Obviously, he had surgery and all that stuff. Obviously, he didn't have Lonzo in that series, and that hurt the team. But I think Levine and DeRozan don't come off the bench. I mean, are not on the bench at the same time that much, and you have Vuku to score. So I do think we're going to need to add another score off the bench. And
that's something you could easily pick up a good score and
or just I want another 3-and-D player. I really think that's important.
You need like a good forward.
I know they're interested in PJ Tucker. I am not against that at all. I think Ben off the bench and he can shoot the 3. And I think PJ Tucker would be.
He's a good player to have in your locker.
I think he'd be perfect. I think he'd fit perfectly.
I have one more. One more thing. What are your thoughts on our guy Jalen Hardy falling to 37?
Yeah, that was. You mean Jaden Hardy, but yeah, that was
Jalen.
Yeah, who cares? That was something because I was like, oh, and we tweeted this, and we'll wrap the show up with this. And I appreciate you guys comment down below. We did forget to say like and comment. Make sure you guys comment down below if you liked what your team did, all that stuff. Just thoughts on the draft as a whole. We'll appreciate it, and that means a lot. Jaden Hardy at 37 to the Kings. It wasn't the Kings. It was shipped off, and we found out the next one because I texted you. Next morning, he was on the Mavericks because we tweeted out what's the exact tweet was. We tweeted out Jaden Hardy at 37 could be the steal of the draft if the Kings can develop him properly. which they're not known to be great at. And then I woke up the next morning, and then you can like put a thread to your tweet.
Yeah.
Put a thread. And I did like asterisk correction Mavericks.
Yeah.
I think that's something we should look into. Maybe replacement for Jalen Brunson, maybe some kind of like that. Jalen Hardy can score.
Yeah.
His
He's
problem,
somewhat inefficient. That's the problem. I think
problem
that's
is his efficiency.
Yeah.
So at 37, that was the Mavericks' only draft pick of the night.
Yeah.
I
think that's
that was not a bad second round pick. He's a prolific scorer. Like he can score. Like that's his main thing. And he averaged 19 points per game, 20 points.
Yeah,
per
like
game.
18, 19.
He scored. It wasn't like he was not scoring. Biggest thing, like you said, Jared, is inefficiency. But I think at 37,
it wasn't like anything. It was 37% from the field around.
Yeah, I think at 37, I rolled the dice. I would have rolled the dice. If the Bulls took him at 18, I would have been like, okay. I'd have been fine with that. So in the 20s, I would have took him 37. You're getting Jalen Hardy at 37. I think that is very good value. And look, it's a second round pick, so it's not the end of the world, but I think he can turn out into be maybe like
he reminds me of a Jordan Clarkson.
Yeah, so I was gonna say like a Lou Will, but obviously he's much bigger than Lou Will, but a scorer off the bench. I think he has a future 6-man potential.
And it just, you saw in the series somewhat, Brunson was, okay, but because he drives a lot, but like Jalen Hardy could really relieve Luka of some of that. He could take a break and he could still put points on the board and set up the offense a little bit. So I really do like that pick.
Anything else you want to touch on before we say bye to everyone?
I will say, I think my steal of the draft was Jabari Walker falling all the way to 57. I thought Jabari was,
I forgot steals. My bad.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I think Jabari, I wouldn't be surprised if we won in the first round. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. I think he's a really good pickup for the Blazers. Get him that forward, they can play defense, can shoot threes. I think the Blazers, came away with, AJ Griffin and then Jabari Walker.
Not a bad draft.
Two similar players, I would say, but I think that's, good value at 57.
Wait, the Blazers got AJ Griffin?
No, the Hawks. My bad. I was just looking at it.
You're good.
Shaedon Sharpe and Jabari Walker.
Yeah, Blazers have Shaedon Sharpe and Jabari Walker.
I was thinking of how when you picked them going to the Blazers.
No, you're good. Yeah. I think my steal of the draft, and I think this team had a very good draft, was the Houston Rockets. Like they had Jabari Smith at 3, Tyree Eason at 17. But my steal of the draft, 29, Ty Washington.
Yeah.
There's Rockets, no way that guy should have been on the board at 29. I had a lottery grade on him.
Yeah.
And with the limited amount of point guards in this class, he should have been taken way early.
He was the first point guard off the board, right?
Is Jaden Ivey a point guard? I don't think so. I think he's a 2.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, but okay. So he basically was the first point guard off the board.
Like teams that like there was just like weird picks, and I think Ty at 29, and it was obviously originally drafted by the Grizzlies, but it's going to Houston. Houston at the end of that first round, Tyree Eason, Jabari Smith, and they were one of my winners. I thought the Rockets were awesome. I thought Ty at 19 was spectacular. Like, this guy's a future. I think he could be a future star. I'm super.
Ty?
I like Ty a lot. He's a was he 6'7", 6'8"?
No, he's 6'3".
He's 6'3". Who am I thinking of? I'm thinking of Dyson Daniels.
Dyson Daniels 6'8", yeah.
Yeah, okay. Then I'm wrong.
No, I always thought Ty was like 6'5" at least, and then I realized, he's only 6'3". He's still a really good player.
6'3", yeah.
Super explosive.
He's a long guard. He's longer than I think he's 6'3".
Yeah.
So I think they needed a point guard, and I don't think he needs to score like right away. Like that, that's not his role. Like I think he could be efficient in other ways than scoring, because you have a Kevin Porter Jr., you have Jalen Green. Obviously, you're gonna have Jabari Smith and Tyree Eason. I think could be the potential starting point guard for the future of the Houston Rockets. I don't think he's day one starter, but you probably would have thought he was a day one starter if they took him at 14.
Yeah.
This guy's starting day one. So your perception of him should not change where he went in the draft, in my opinion. I think they got a guy that could have been a top 10 pick. Like if the Knicks took him at 11, or you had to
be like, good pick.
I'd be like, that's a great pick. Getting him at 29, great value. They could have given him at 17, you'd be like, awesome pick. Like that's how good.
I think anything past 8, I'd say, okay, that's a good pick.
Yeah, it was a fine pick, and they took him at 29. So that, in my opinion, steal in the first round.
And I will also squeeze one in here before we go off. Warriors, Patrick Baldwin might end up being one of the best picks in this draft. I think if anyone could develop Patrick Baldwin, it would be the Warriors. Find fit for him. So I think that's a really good pick.
Well, Patrick Baldwin was one of the top recruits in the 2022 class.
Okay, yeah, okay.
No, 2021 class.
Yeah.
2021. You're right. 2022 is this fall. So 2021 class, one of the top players, obviously injured and went to Milwaukee. So the recognition backfired and the injuries didn't help. But yeah, Patrick Baldwin.
Great value for him.
End of the first round to the Warriors could be scary. 28 to the Warriors could be scary.
I hate Warriors, but I gotta salute them.
Yeah, that's something. Okay, guys, I appreciate you guys clicking on Apple Podcasts or YouTube, wherever you guys are watching this. Hopefully, your team made the pick you guys wanted. Hopefully, you weren't a Knicks fan and didn't get absolutely pissed and confused. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the draft. Hopefully, you enjoyed our mock draft video. Jared, where can everyone find us on social media? And
yeah, like I said, Talking Sports PD, Instagram and Twitter. All links are below. Apple Podcasts, if you're in the car, you don't want to feel like turning on YouTube. Put on Apple Podcasts, you can just listen and drive. Yeah, and thank you so much for allowing us to do a 50th video. Hopefully a lot more in the future. But yeah, please subscribe if you watch this. Help us keep going.
Yeah, subscribe, guys. That helps us a lot. Comments, we'll always interact. Twitter, Instagram, like Jared said. 50th episode. So we appreciate everyone that has ever clicked on an episode. Anyone that's ever watched an episode, comment, liked, or did anything to interact with us on any social media. We appreciate that so much. We're just two kids talking about sports. So we appreciate you guys. This was our 50th episode. We were recapping the NBA draft. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the episode. Until next time, this was the Talking Sports podcast hosted by Peter DiBiasi and John Rocco Trumpbour. Have a good rest of your week and hopefully you enjoyed the podcast. Thank you.